Paradox Pokemon kinda suck. If you don't want spoilers on some of the new Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, feel free to click off, because I am going to be discussing all of, essentially, the post-game exclusive Pokemon in this video. My thoughts on each and every single one, and why I love the concept, but don't think they went far enough. First up, the Dual Dawn fan used to announce the Paradox Phenomena, Iron Treads, and Great Tusk. And I have a lot to say. Like, I used Great Tusk on my playthrough team. The reason I'm talking about these two first are they are the only ones you have to encounter in the main story. Sort of. They're part of the Titan plotline, and they're also the only ones you can catch before post-game, essentially. And, I love these two. I'm not a fan of Iron Treads on a lot of levels, but I love it because of one thing I'm going to get into in a minute. But first, let's just talk about Great Tusk. Great Tusk is a fantastic powerhouse, and I'm generally not going to be speaking on the stats of these Pokemon. I'm just going to be speaking on their designs, their, basically more visual story stuff. Because all of their stats are great, but this one was really fun to use on a playthrough team, and I definitely intend to use Iron Treads if I ever play through Violet. And I can catch it. Seriously, catching this thing was a pain, but I love it. Oh, genuinely, I love Great Tusk. It's such a cool design. You essentially just took Donphan, an elephant, and made it a mammoth, which makes perfect sense of how it would evolve into the Donphan we know and love. Generally, I do actually like a lot of the prehistoric ones because you can see how they would become the modern day equivalent we all know and love, which is something I dislike on a lot of the future ones because it feels like they just went through a Chrome machine. But another thing is, I'll just talk about this here because they all share the same ability for all of the past ones, and pretty much the same ability for future. In either harsh sunlight or electric terrain, they get a boost to their highest stat. It's a pretty good ability, pretty cool. I wish they had more unique abilities, but it's still really good. Generally, it's not a bad ability. It's really good. I just wish they had more distinct ones compared to basically all having either photosynthesis or quark drive. But Great Tusk is a really cool design, and I love how you can tell what it is going to become and how it became it. Iron Treads. The other one worth noting. Although there is an elephant in the room to talk about in a moment. But I really like Iron Treads. It's probably my second favorite future Pokemon. And here's the thing. I don't like it because it's Donphan. I don't like the idea. I like it because of a video series I did earlier this year, back in the summer. Back in the summer, I did Pokemon type swaps with my friend Red Rain. And one of the Pokemon he came up with was a Steel-type Donphan that had Treads. I'm serious, he basically created Iron Treads before Iron Treads was a thing, which is just really cool to me, and I really like it for that reason. It's one of the ones he made, none of the ones I made became real, but I just find that really cool, and I really like it. And if you want to see the full time-lapse and all that of his essentially pre-reveal version of Iron Treads, it will be the top link in the description or in an iCard right now. But I really like Iron Treads just because of this. Next up, Brute Bonnet, the past version of Amoonguss. Why did Amoonguss get a Paradox form? I don't get it. It's boring. I don't care for it. I already didn't like Amoonguss. This is one I don't like because I don't care for Amoonguss. I more just question why, of all people, they chose Amoonguss. Look, I don't know. It's one of the ones I question why they chose this Pokemon. It's not a bad design. It's solid. I think it would work better as an Amoonguss evolution than a prehistoric Amoonguss. But it's neat. It's fine. I don't hate it. I just never really cared for Amoonguss to begin with. I'm sure if you're a fan of the Amoonguss line, you're ecstatic to see this. Speaking of static, Sandy Shocks. How is this thing real? Why is it in the past? Like, yeah, I get it's like an alien, I think, but like, why? Why is it in the past? This is like the one Pokemon I question why you didn't go with Future. And it's one of many Pokemon we'll see here that isn't its final evolution and cannot evolve. Now you may be wondering why I'm not questioning why there isn't a Prevo for Great Tusk, because Phanpy exists. Great Tusk and Iron, all the Paradox Pokemon cannot breed. You can only get what you can be found in the wild. So that makes enough sense. But if it was already able to evolve, I don't get that. And you may argue, oh, well, maybe it's because the line of Magneton didn't get an evolution till later. Which I'd agree with. Until we get to another one later in the list. But it's neat. My reaction was, why does this exist and why is it in the past? But I don't hate it. Honestly, it's grown on me because of how dumb of an idea putting a Pokemon like the Magneton line as a prehistoric Pokemon is. So I actually quite like Sandy Shocks. Next up, Screamtail. I love this thing. It's so dumb. It looks horrible. I love it. Its face makes no sense to me. I love Screamtail. Straight up, it's like one of those things where I can't explain why I love it, but I do. And then this is the one I was talking about where I don't get why it can't evolve, because Wigglytuff always existed. It's not a case where you can argue, oh, it's a cool reference to how it couldn't evolve originally. No. Pretty sure Jigglypuff could always evolve. Like, I get why they picked Jigglypuff over Wigglytuff. It's just weird to me that it can't evolve. And also, I freaking love Screamtail. I know I already said this, but look at that face. Anyway, Fluttermane. I love it. It looks at it's a depressed Mismagius. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. It's Mismagius, not it's Misdreavus. I called it its evolution. But it's literally just a depressed Misdreavus, and I love it. Like, this is another one I'm quite fond of. I just think it's cool. I think it's cute. And I know I've been discussing how they evolve and what they become, but I think in Jigglypuff and Misdreavus' case, they just got domesticated. Like, literally, they just got domesticated. Became cuter. For, I don't know. And or the dead ghosts of people nowadays are less evil? I don't know. But I love it anyway. Next up, Slitherwing and Iron Moth are two Volcaronas. And I'm fond of both. I love how Slitherwing just can't fly. It's just so fat it can't fly. Like, both of these feel like a natural prehistoric into modern into futuristic. Because Iron Moth, for example, doesn't feel like it's literally the thing with Chrome. It feels like it's evolved to incorporate technology into its design. Instead of, you see, it's literally just a Pokemon you know before, but it's made of metal now. Again, we'll get into that in a bit, because I'm going by Dex order, so a lot of these are earlier. The only times I'm not is if they're a shared Pokemon, because then it's easier just to talk about them together. But, and then Slitherwing, it's fat, and it can't fly. I love it. Both are like, they're just derpy little moths, and I love them for it. That's basically all I have to say, though. Next up, Iron Hands. And I'm just going to put this disclaimer out here. I do not care for Hariyama, and I love Iron Hands. I'm not the biggest fan of its design, and I know I said I wouldn't talk about stats and stuff. This thing is a beast, and I love it. But design-wise, it's essentially just Mecha Hariyama, which, yeah, I'm not fond of. I'm not fond of them just turning everything into robots. But, hey, it at least looks like a pretty cool robot. And it's a massive step up from Hariyama's design, if you ask me. Next up is Iron Jugulus, and it sure is just Hydreigon, but made of metal. Like, I like this because I'm already fond of Hydreigon, but I really do not like the thing a lot of these have done, which is just, hey, it's this, but metal. That's all this is, and I really don't like it. I like Iron Jugulus because I'm already a fan of Hydreigon, but I don't think a future Iron Jugulus or a future Hydreigon should just be Hydreigon but Chrome. Iron Thorns. Another one that I like it because it's just the same Pokemon again. Again, I don't have much to say because it's my same exact issue as with Hydreigon. Ironically, I think one of the only other pseudo-legends to get a Paradox form. They made 3 of them get a Paradox form, and 2 of them are Violet. I don't get that. But, yeah, I don't have much to say because it's the exact same complaint. It's just it, but metal. Next up, Iron Bundle. The Pokemon I question they chose to make a Paradox form, Delibird. Why? Why? What? Like, actually, why? It's Delibird. Of all Pokemon, they chose Delibird? Like, I'm sorry. There are 8 Paradox Pokemon per game. And you chose to make one of them a Delibird? Exact same problems I have with the others. Its biggest change is it has a sack, but it's still dumb. It's still Delibird. Like, look, I get you needed a cute one for the whole how this works, I guess, for the cutscenes, but Delibird? Honestly, I would have rather just gotten another Pikachu. Why Delibird? Up next, Roaring Moon. I love the fact they took Mega Salamence and put it here. I miss Megas. I think they were really cool. And I love how they essentially just went here. Mega Salamence, but ancient. Its wings remind me of Hope. I love Roaring Moon. It is easily my favorite Paradox Pokemon. Its design is fantastic. It takes a concept from a Pokemon from earlier and brings it back, and at that, I actually think it makes sense from a logical perspective why Salamence would lose this and then gain it again upon Mega Evolution. I love it. I think it's such a cool idea. It's such a cool design. I genuinely wish that we got more Pokemon like this, that took elements from some of their older designs and put them back in. And ironically, the only other one to do this is Iron Valorant. Just like with Roaring Moon, Iron Valorant takes its inspiration from its Megas. I say Megas because it seems to be a combination of Gardevoir and Gallade. Specifically Mega Gardevoir and Mega Gallade. Maybe. It's hard to say. For the Pokemon they're based off of, I'm generally going off of Bulbapedia and Seraphie, and Bulbapedia's like, it's their base. Seraphi's like, it's their Megas. I don't know. For Gallade, at least, I see more inspiration from its Mega than its base. But either way, Iron Valorant is really cool, and it's easily my favorite Violet exclusive Pokemon. By a landslide. It is super cool, and I love it. It's a really cool Pokemon with some really cool ideas behind it, and again, I just like the fact they're reusing Megas by re-implementing them into new designs of old Pokemon. That's really cool. I really like it. Now on to the two I wasn't originally going to include into this video because I didn't think they counted, but Bulbapedia and Cerebi disagree. Those being the Winged King and the Iron Serpent, Koraidon and Miraidon. And their base form, Cyclizar. I question why it doesn't end with Idon, like the other two. But, whatever. These two are the only brand new Pokemon to get a Paradox form, which is cool on its own. They also happen to be the box art legendaries. And are also Paradox Pokemon, apparently? Which, I really like the idea. It's kind of, I like showing off the new main gimmick of the game in its legends. Imagine if we got Mega Xerneas and Mega Yveltal for X and Y. That would have been cool. Although, seeing a G-Max Zacian would be horrifying. Point being, I don't have much to say about these two. It's the box art legends. I love how expressive they are, and they make a whole lot of personality, and I love them. But I don't have much to say, because frankly, they aren't a new Pokemon, so I can't compare them to the original. I mean, I guess I can, because Cyclizar exists. That'd be the original, I guess. And I really don't get how this works evolutionarily. So you go from Koraidon, a powerful beast, to Cyclizar, the house cat of bikes, to Miraidon, a powerful beast. Why is Cyclizar so much more pathetic than the other two? It's like, so you go from being a powerful beast to a bike to a powerful beast. Like, I get why Cyclizar exists, and so the trainers can have it. I think it's cool to show them being Paradox Pokemon. I just really question why Cyclizar sucks. I think it could have been really cool. Like, Cyclizar 1 should be available, like, should do something like Koraidon and Miraidon, where it can power up depending on, give it, like, a sandwich ingredient. Just give Cyclizar a sandwich ingredient, and it can change form to switch its normal typing out for something cooler, and it becomes more powerful depending on the sandwich ingredient. Imagine if you give it a Herba Mystica, and it just becomes Arceus. I don't know. These are joke suggestions for some of them, but Cyclizar baffles me on how it's so weak, and I'm not even supposed to be talking about Cyclizar. Either way, there's two more bonus ones that I think are worth mentioning. In the Scarlet and Violet books, respectively, there are a Paradox Entei and a Paradox Cobalion shown. In the Scarlet book, it's Entei, and in the Violet book, it is Cobalion, which I think would be really cool to see these two, like, these pairs of the Swords of Justice and the legendary beasts getting Paradox forms. Which, I'd love to see that. Personally, if we were to get Paradox forms based on any old trio of legends, I'd like to see the Unova ones, because show me what the hell the true form of those three is. I think if we're ever getting it, it's now, with the whole past and future gimmick. But I really like the designs that are teased, and I would love to see them be added in DLC. Because let's be honest, we're getting DLC for this game. It's literally sold 10 million copies in 3 days. It is getting paid DLC. I see no way around it. And I will buy it in seconds. So, I'm excited. Especially if these two come. I think it'd be really cool. What are your thoughts? Did you enjoy them? Did you not? Feel free to tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.